Hi, this is Regeline Sabat, also known as Gigi. You're listening to Walk With Me podcast. My guest today is Lisa Priestley. Lisa Priestley is a health coach, master trainer, author, speaker, and she's known to everyone as Coach Lisa. Lisa has been offering holistic health and fitness for over 25 years. Currently, she has a virtual fitness Studio in the Heights, based in Manhattan, where she coaches and teaches fitness and holistic health coaching business with her husband, Roderick Priestly. They offer coaching, training, and workshops integrating their unique East and West orientation of functional strength training, whole food nutrition, yoga, and healthy holistic living. Welcome to the show, Lisa.
Wow, I am so happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome.
So good to see you.
Yes, ma'am. Likewise. Now, why don't you start off by telling us about you and where you're from?
Well, I was actually born in Philadelphia, but I am currently, and I'd have to say, since I've lived here over 30 years, I'm from New York City. So I am a holistic lifestyle coach, and I'm a co-owner with my husband and business partner, Priest. We own a virtual studio in Upper Manhattan in New York City. We are right in the midst of it all.
I love it. Now, Brenda Bloom here says hello.
Hey, Brenda, how are you? She is one of our students and our studio has been open for almost 9 years. And I think Brenda is one of our longest term students and definitely one of our most dedicated students. She has done all of our programming and is very much involved in the wellness for her life as well as the wellness of our business. Because when we look at our business, we really look at developing both the physical, emotional, and spiritual, because we do all types of group classes and coaching. So we do yoga classes, and we do green cleanses for nutrition, but we also do hit it hard too, right? We do high intensity interval classes. We hit it hard, and we do bar classes. We do basic intro to strength programming. So we really try and find programs and classes that are good for all people. Now, so that we have a team of 8 of us that do that, coaches that we have that work with us. But my husband and I are both also holistic lifestyle coaches, wellness coaches. And so we really bring a holistic focus to the members who join our studio. And one of our biggest programs on the nutrition side is our green feasting cleanse that we've run every quarter for the last 4 years. So we really help people transform their lives. And as a 59-year-old woman of a co-fitness owner of a fitness studio in New York City, I have to say that my goal is really to help inspire people to make good choices so they can live their best life and live in their sweet spot.
I love it. And hello, Brenda and Deborah. Thank you all for joining us tonight.
Thank you, Deborah.
As well.
Hi, Deborah. How are you? Deborah is actually related to me. He's my co-owner's sister.
Oh,
and
wow.
A studio participant.
That is
our classes.
Amazing. I love it. Now, Lisa, tell us more about your living in your sweet spot principles, the topic of discussion today.
Yes. So as I said earlier, when you think of this concept of living in your sweet spot, if you just think of the idea of sweet spot, it's any place that's optimal for obtaining certain desirable results, right? So who wouldn't want to be in their best place in their life, right? Because if you feel good, you look good, so you want to be in the middle of that, in your sweet spot. So we actually have in our Priestley process, it's based on a Venn diagram. So a Venn diagram is a diagram with 3 circles. So these 3 circles overlap. Imagine them like the Olympic circles, right? But just for 3. And in the center of those 3 is the sweet spot. So what's in each of those circles is what is part of the process. So in the bottom, in the 2 bottom circles is fitness and fuel. So let's talk a little bit about that, because probably the one circle that most people come into our studio experience is the fitness studio. Jasper, how are you? So thank you for coming. Yay. He is also one of our students and has had a miraculous story. actually, I use him to go through our principles. So Jasper came into our studio, just joined about a year ago, and he came into our fitness circle, right? Coming and doing our HIIT classes. And that's our fitness part of our process. Many people stay right in that circle and, they work out, they get stronger. Many times they lose weight. But he went on and moved into our next circle, which is our fuel circle. And he joined in and did our green cleanse, which really kicks off. When we look at fuel, we look at healthy food. Our green cleanse is a great way to start. Lee Mariam, welcome.
Welcome.
Hi. So Jasper did our green feasting cleanse and then worked with our clean eating program, and he really started to learn how to make really good healthy choices, how to reduce the amount of sugar in his diet on a daily basis, take in more green vegetables, and really looking at healthy eating. But what's so interesting about our Priestly process, so imagine we have fitness and we have fuel, but that top circle is focus. And that's really where the mind, emotional, spiritual place comes in, right? So what are we thinking on a daily basis? What do we want to achieve? What are our goals? How are we manifesting the things that we want? And I sort of believe that wherever we put our attention is the intention that we achieve. And so that is where those three circles really, really come together. And where success happens. So you say, but maybe I'll do all those things and I don't live in my sweet spot, or maybe I only have time to spend more time just in my fitness circle. Well, we know that everything starts with a thought, right? So if we're going to get up and make the choice to exercise, to drink enough water, to eat good and make good, healthy choices, we are in that focus circle. So maybe it's not where we're spending all our time, but we're always in that circle, right? Because in some ways it's the foundation. But I like to think of it like the circles change size, right? Kind of depending on where we are, right?
That's right.
I draw them as even circles, but sometimes, hey, we're under a lot of stress and we need to spend more time in that fitness circle. Because inside of that fitness circle, I share this, let's dig a little deeper into that circle, is that I believe that it's both working in and working out. Because we only think of fitness as like working out, right? How strong can I be? How many burpees can I do? What's my best weight, my best heaviest deadlift? But you can also do things in movement fitness, like yoga, which is working in, right? So where we start to become more aware of our muscles and how they feel and how we move and what's tight. So we have to look at working in and working out. So maybe some weeks that circle is bigger, and maybe parts of that circle, like if you looked at it like a little cell, right? You have all those little guys inside of a cell, your mitochondria, fun things like that. For all of us that took biology, but I did. But some of those things inside that cell will grow. Some weeks I'll do more yoga because I feel like I need to sort of work in my fitness. And some weeks I feel like, dude, I am ready. Bring it, right? And I'm ready to like do my deadlifts, do my burpees, and really get stronger. And we need that balance. But sometimes we blow up on that fuel, right? Sometimes we say, hey, doing a detox, which we are starting a detox this week, if anybody would still like to join us. So we'll be doing a 7-day detox where we're going to blow up that fuel circle. And with that fuel circle, if you're sort of detoxing and we're eliminating a lot of the foods that create, like sugar, that creates a real roller coaster of energy, and you're up and down. You don't always feel so good. You can feel anxious. Sugar is no joke. Sugar is a class 1A drug. It is more addictive than heroin and cocaine. So, if we're blowing up that fuel circle and we're going to expand that in our lives that week, in some weeks we do that where we're making very healthy choices, and that's our focus, then maybe our fitness circle is a little bit smaller, right? Because we're putting our minds there. So again, it's a dynamic being in your sweet spot, right? But it is always trying to find that balance between those three things in our lives. As Jasper said, he likes the fitness model because his mind changes constantly. I have to say, I know Jasper. He's a science teacher, so he does change.
Wonderful. I see your husband join us. Hello, Mr.
Oh my God. Hello. He's
Glad you're here today joining us.
Yes. And when we put together our business, the way this whole Priestly process kind of came, when I talk about working in and working out, we took our passion, because neither one of us were in fitness when we met. Priest is a singer songwriter, and I was actually in corporate sales and marketing. So we met and realized that we both had a passion for fitness. Priest is a 4-level martial artist, 4-degree black belt martial artist. I also did study some martial arts, and then I'm a yoga teacher. And so we start looking at what are all the things that allows us to come to this age and live in our sweet spot. What is it that puts us in a daily flow of having good energy and the ability to inspire those people around us to want to be at their best as well?
That is absolutely amazing. Now, Lisa, tell us more about the book you are publishing, Stepping Stones to Success.
Yes. So that book, and I'll show it to you. Here it is. So it's fun to do this type of publishing. I had the opportunity and was contacted where they interview you, and then you are published based on your expertise. So I have a chapter in this book. It's called The 3 Circles of Health: Fitness, Fuel, and Focus. And you can see that they interviewed, and I got to share the moniker with some very big people: Jack Canfield, Denis Waitley, Deepak Chopra. And I have to tell you, just a little aside, to be in a book with Deepak Chopra is so exciting, because he was one of the people who I read who made me want to be and do holistic fitness versus just doing fitness itself. So, I came into the business in my 30s, coming out of it from more of a weight training, bodybuilder kind of focus, and then realized that as I began to age, and you're going to end up having injuries and things that come as an active athlete, you need to have a more holistic approach to life in order to, oh, thank you, Andrea. Thank you very much. To be able to be successful. I mean, this approach has helped me through many successes and many things and many challenges. I mean, in terms of success that it put me through, I mean, I was always an athlete. I started being an athlete when I was like 12. I was a swimmer. I was a MVP in high school and in college in swimming at a time in the 70s when they had said Black people aren't supposed to be able to swim. They're supposed to only be able to sink. And I was a swimmer. So, I mean, I didn't know holistic stuff then, but hey, I mean, women back then, I was doing pull-ups and push-ups, and there weren't a lot of girls doing sports at that time. So, I kind of had that competitive mindset that, hey, I can achieve anything that I want to achieve. It came right through to my biggest athletic event that I did in 2010, where my husband and I and a team of 6 other riders, cyclists, we raced our bikes in a big race called the Race Across America. And we raced 3,000 miles in 7 days, 9 hours, and 27 minutes. Do I need to say that again? 3,000 miles across the country from Oceanside, California to Annapolis, Maryland in 7 days, 9 hours, and 27 minutes. So we were on a nonstop team. One of the people on here, my sister-in-law, Lee Mariam, was part of our support team and helped us accomplish that feat. But I have to tell you, that was tough. But we had good nutrition, good athletics, and I can't tell you that as hard as it was physically, it was equally hard in that focus circle, because there's so many days when you are under very little sleep and a major physical stress, that it is only that focus circle that gets you through. You know, I mean, I had to say I went through self-doubt that, hey, I don't know if I can make it, but it is your mind, your focus that gets you through an event like that. And, you know, so this is how we started to develop this process, because you start to look at what things has made me successful in my life. What have I pulled together to have it be that I can be a good and productive, hopefully inspirational, holistic fitness coach? So that was one of my biggest athletic feats, which having those 3 circles has really helped me to help me get through it. And then just after I had my biggest athletic accomplishment, I had my biggest physical challenge. I found out in my 50s, no less, that I was born with a heart defect I didn't even know about. Didn't even know about it. And, you know, it's nothing like going into a doctor. You think, hey, I'm on top of the world. I just raced across the country. And he says, you know what, dude, your heart is not hooked up right. And within the next 6 months, you need to have open heart surgery. So it's not an emergency, but if you don't do it now, you'll be on the couch for the rest of your life and not be able to do anything athletic. And that has got to have been the scariest thing that ever happened to me in my life. And probably one of my biggest, in a different kind of way, physical challenges, in which those 3 circles once again came into play for me to find that sweet spot, and for me to be sitting here talking to you in yet a sweet spot, right? To find that flow in my life. So yes, I went into a 4-hour surgery. I was in the ICU for 3 days, in the hospital for a week. And I have to say, 3 months of recovery of, you know, you start off that first week and that fitness circle was where I was, but that focus circle played such a big role. I could barely walk 3,000 steps, 5,000 steps. And if it wasn't for really the grace of God and my family and friends that really brought me through and gave me the fortitude, is community support to be successful, right? And so I had to eat well. No joke. I was a little bit anemic. I had to take in the right amount of calories and the proper food. I had to have the mental focus that I would be back and be able to deadlift and do burpees and be a leader in my community on a physical level, even in my late 50s. And of course, the fitness, right? I had to be dedicated on a daily basis. And again, I come back to those 3 circles because it's so often in life that I feel like when I talk to clients that they don't understand that it's all 3. You know, they just think, oh, if I just do squats, that's going to do it. Or if I just stop drinking wine, that's going to do it, right? But it really is a constant play to live in that sweet spot, because I feel like who would ever argue that they wouldn't want to get up and be their best, to do their best work, to have the most energy that they could have on a day? Like, who wouldn't want to have that? But we do things and we put things in our bodies, or we sit on the couch too long, and then we make an excuse about why we can't do it. Now, hey, when I came back from my heart surgery, I was all the way deconditioned, right? So I was totally a beginner. So I was like a real high level athlete that became a total novice. So I know I can help people work from step 1 to step 10. And in our programming and in coaching with myself or my husband, we meet you where you are and move you forward through that process, right? And we look at, what are you eating? What are your habits? But what is your life goal? What are your visions? What are you focused on? What do you want to achieve? Because if you want to achieve a promotion, that takes focus, but you got to be at your best, right? So if you're eating crap, right, and not taking care of yourself and not moving, how are you going to be at your best sitting in front of that person and have the vitality to inspire that person to want to have you in their life? So that's, very much about, gives you some insight on how I've used this process and how we developed this process. Like we didn't just pull it out of the air, right? You look at all the things that you've achieved and how and what it took to pull those things together to be successful.
That's right. You're truly a warrior, Lisa, for overcoming open heart surgery. Now, Lisa, you're welcome. Miss Priestly says, hi, Lisa.
Hi, Teresa. How are you?
Yes, I love
Good
it.
to see you. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. Now, Lisa,
thank you for joining.
Yes, ma'am. Now, tell us more about another challenge that you faced in regards to your mother having dementia.
Oh, gosh, that is a tough one. And so 9 years ago, my mother was diagnosed with Alzheimer's. So she was not young. She was in her late 70s. But it's the devastation of seeing that and having a parent go through that, and she's still in it, is very difficult because it is, well, let's start with, she was a master baker, and we definitely had a lot of sugar in the house. And unbeknownst to me at that time is that people with very high sugar diets have a 400% increase, as per the Mayo Clinic, of having onset of dementia. So we can see that sugar has a humongous impact in that. And it actually started to make me more aware of my eating habits. And I went from eating a lot of heavy grains in my diet to reducing to almost no grains in my diet, because complex carbohydrates become sugar in the body. Sugar becomes sugar, complex carbohydrates become sugar, and simple things, so do fruits and vegetables also become sugar. But we do need some sugar in our bodies because we need glucose to run our brain. But if you have too much, the brain can't metabolize that. And that's how they're starting to learn that dementia can be very much come beyond on the onset of dementia can come as a result of sugar in the diet. Not the only reason, but definitely a trigger. And Andrea, I see that you live with my mother, and are you saying that your mother actually also had dementia, or is that what you're saying, Andrea?
I believe so. She says, I live with my mother and completely understand.
Yeah, yes. So you understand how difficult it is. And I think the saddest thing about dementia is that the physical person is still there, and yet who they were as a person, their light, their energy, their personality, all starts to fade away. So it's a slow, a very slow loss of someone. And so it has been very difficult. When my mother was first diagnosed, my father was her primary caregiver for 4 years. And then, the stress of caregiving is also difficult. He was very saddened by his wife and becoming ill, and he died. And so for the last 4 years, my sister and I have been primary caregivers, supervising 5 women in Philadelphia for her care. And Andrea, I am so sorry to hear about your mother as well. You know that it can be such a slow and painful death. And my mother is still living, but I think the hardest part about it is that, in some ways, she seems content, but the mother I knew and loved, in terms of having this woman who cared and nurtured for me for so many years, someone who I loved and trusted. Oh gosh, now I'm going to get emotional. It's so difficult to see those people go. And, it is by faith, and I had to go back to our process, but like staying physical, keeping my body strong, finding practices. I do a daily meditation practice. I practice yoga several times a week, and all those things to help cull the anxiety and the sadness. I talk to people. We have several people at the studio whose parents are also going through this, and sometimes just sharing and talking with other people in that focus is tough. Yes, my Lee Mariam knows my mom. They call her Mama Irene, and she still has her sweetness. You can still feel that, but it's difficult to have lost my father and to emotionally really have lost my mother as well. So it's been difficult, and but I feel like there's a resilience that through all these different things that I've shared with you, that has helped me build a sense of strength, inner strength, to be able to have the faith that we go on, and I can still find and participate and go on with and live a full life, even though I have it's difficult on some days. It's very difficult.
I definitely understand. My great aunt, she has, dementia, and, she reads books, and sometimes she forgets that she read a book, and she'll continue to read that same book over and over again, day in, day out. Maybe even for the same month, she'll continue to read that same book. So I definitely understand as well as with the folks in the audience as well who have gone through.
Yes. I, yeah. And, what's so interesting too, is that dementia that affects people differently, right? So not everybody is affected the same way. And even my mother, like she very quickly went from being able to read a book to not being able to really comprehend what she had read, and now, she is at the point where she's totally dependent on someone to take care of her, because your mind actually forgets how to do, like how to, care for yourself. And then someone has to do all of that for you.
Yes, ma'am.
And that's where she is. Yes. So it's hard, but I do, I hold on to my sweet spot. I do, and find my flow through various I don't know, means, I guess I should say, to make my day fruitful and full.
That is amazing. Now, Lisa, you mentioned your faith and how your faith has helped you get through this as well. Now, can you tell us more about your relationship with God and how important it is to you?
Well, I look at God in a broad sense, in terms of the universal sense of someone supporting, or someone or something or some energy being what supports us to get through our lives, and gives me the ability to deal with my trials and tribulations that I come to in my life.
That is amazing. You're truly an overcomer. Now,
yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. Now, what change do you wish to see in the world?
What change do I wish to see in the world? Well, that's a kind of a loaded question, especially in this day and age, because there's so much happening. One thing I feel first is that as an individual, that we show up to be the change we want to see in the world. Now, I wish I had been so eloquent in making that quote. That's from Gandhi. But I do believe that, like, how we show up, that we represent what we want to see. So for me, I would say that I'd like to see, in this time of so much discourse, I would like to see there be more peace, and understanding with individuals. I feel that there is so much dissension right now, amongst our races and amongst people, and that people could see sort of the light and the God self within all of us, right? That it, like, somebody doesn't have to be better than somebody because of whatever the reason, that we are all here as hopefully, well, maybe we're not all loving, but we can find sort of our heart center and connect with people and see the sameness in us, right? How different are we? Not that different, right? I mean, we all have an external difference. We have different hair, we wear different clothes, different skin colors. But I believe that from an internal sense, we need to find that sameness amongst us. And we need to, I mean, it sounds corny to be like, go out and give out hugs to everybody, but there's a woman that goes around and hugs everybody. But the change I want to see is really that people see that we're not that much different, and to stop fighting over the things that, like, I feel like some people are just looking for the difference versus looking for the same.
Amen.
And I feel like that in sameness and in education and exposure, that people can start to learn that people can be, that we can take care of each other and we don't have to be so negative. Things like George Floyd, those type of things are wake-up calls for in our country, that, we need to stop looking at people just by their race or their religion and separating ourselves, but we need to be and welcoming and loving to each other.
Amen. I agree. And also the political views as well. A lot of times,
oh my God,
someone mentioned to me on the podcast just the other day, he says that your blessing may come from someone who's on a different political party than you.
Exactly. And like, it's I feel like in our current situation, things have just really ramped up. There was a time that, like, okay, someone's a Democrat, somebody's a Republican, somebody's an independent, and okay, I don't agree with all the things that your party says and all the things that you want out of your party, but I felt like there was a respect, like, you agree here and I agree here and we'll agree to disagree. But now I feel like, oh, so if you don't agree with me, then, it has become more of an identity than an actual belief system, meaning that people will then hate you for that, or people feel it's okay to kill you for that, or to, throw you out in the street. Those are the type of things that I feel, how do we move forward if we spend so much time just looking at where we're different? Thank you, Brenda. I appreciate that support.
Yeah, she says 100%. Yes.
100%.
Yes, ma'am. We definitely need more peace and understanding in this world. Thank you.
Absolutely. And, it sounds funny to bring this back to fitness, but when you eat this, it sounds funny. I bring everything back to food, but if you eat like too much sugar, too many grains, inflammatory foods actually can, and like you do too many things that like coffee, things that make you feel like stimulants. You can get too hyped up on stuff, and sometimes then we can't be our best self because we are like being spiked by things, right? So you're not calm and you're not able to make good balanced decisions about things. And so you always see those like Animal House. I'm really dating myself, but like chugging things like coffee or Coke or Red Bull, right? And then you get all like fired up and it's like, it's like you get that, like you can get overcharged. And sometimes it's, if you were going to go out and brain fog, right, Brenda, you just get like brain fog, right? And then you make bad decisions, and then you get in a group mentality and you go out and do something that's not so kosher, not so cool, right? I feel like, it sounds great, if we could all just get along, but if we could look at the choices that we make on a daily basis, we can, if we could learn practices in yoga from like how to breathe and settle our breath. So we do something like alternate nostril breathing, which really helps to calm the mind, to help you make more balanced decisions. If we could, not drink 7 cups of coffee, maybe just a cup of coffee, or trying some tea, things that don't spike us up so much, we wouldn't have so much anxiety about life and be so like overstimulated with things. And then, the last piece is probably when we look at that focus circle. I mean, it's just, I feel like this just keeps opening up. You look at the news, right? What it does to our minds if we overindulge it can really get us also really hyped up and feeling anxious and over. And then we go out and we take a depressant like alcohol, right? And that brings us down. And then you're like, oh, now I need some coffee to bring me up. So we can get on this roller coaster, both in how we feel and mentally how we show up in the world.
That's right. Now, you mentioned showing up. How important is it for folks to understand to show up for themselves?
Oh my God, that is so important. You have to show up for yourself. I mean, it's interesting because being in as a fitness coach and sort of really, I say holistic fitness, you're really also looking at people's lives, right? And it's so interesting. Like, it's not rocket science to like feel better and get in good shape, but people don't want to show up for themselves. So what do I mean by that? So like typically I'll say, well, here's 5 things you can do. I need you to drink more water, drink a little less wine. I need you to eat a little less carbs. And I need you to exercise, even go just walking 4 to 5 days a week. And people are like, well, you know, and they have a fill in the blank. There's always a reason why they can't make that happen. They don't show up for themselves, right? It's like they almost dig their heels in on the things that they know they've just told you that doesn't have them feel their best or be their best. You know, like they dig their heels in. Well, my doctor said that I need to have 2 glasses of wine a day. I said, okay, why? Oh, because it has antioxidants. Okay, yes, it does. But if you really want good antioxidants, you get more from some oranges, right? So it's called resveratrol that you get in wine. So it's drink the wine because you like it. And then, but if you really want to lose weight and you're taking in 200-300 calories of wine a night, then it's not the thing that's helping you show up for yourself. Does that make sense?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So it's like you have to really consider what it is that you want to achieve. And then, I mean, who can show up for you but yourself, right? Now, you know, you can, because people will say the things that they want to achieve, but people have to be really ready to achieve them, right? So you can say, I'm ready to do this, but doesn't mean that you're really ready to take action. So there is a continuum from understanding what you want to understanding actually how. I'm not picking on wine, Brenda. It's just such a, I'm sorry. Brenda has low sugar wine that she sells. And so she's, you know, she thinks I'm picking on her. I'm not picking on her. But you know, like you have to then move and be in action about what it is that you want to achieve, right? So it's one thing to say it, it's another thing to do it and then show up for yourself, because the truth is no one else can show up for you. No one else can find that sweet spot for you. You do have to come and show up and do the work. And isn't that true about everything in life?
That's right.
Right?
Yeah.
You know, people use fitness because it's kind of like, there used to be a funny commercial on that one of the fitness companies had here. And so the TV pans in and you hear somebody going 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And then it pans around the wall and you see the TV and someone's exercising, and then it pans even further and the woman is watching the person exercise while they're eating breakfast, right? So that's kind of like showing up. It's what I now call exercise porn in this virtual world, right? People are like, if I watch them exercise, I'm probably getting in a little better shape than I would be if I was watching something else, right? Because it's like, you know, that's what I'm sort of teasing. But yeah, you do have to show up for yourself in the world, and you just have to, you know, you can have people in your life like myself or our studio that can help move you down the path, right? But you have to walk through the door. As soon as you walk through the door, we are here with open arms to move you forward and to help you show up better for yourself and to get the results and the things that you want to achieve. You know, so if whether it used to be in our brick and mortar studio where people actually came through the door and were nicely welcomed through one of our coaches. Now it's through our virtual studio. I know she's sorry. She was one of our brick and mortar visitors, but we still give hugs out virtually. So it's not the same, but we are still here for people to help them show up and to be able to advocate for themselves. And we're here to hold that space for them to be successful.
I love it. Now, Lisa, how important is it to maintain a positive mindset?
Oh boy. I think that kind of self-care, not selfish. Yeah, what Lee wrote, and I'll get to the mindset. It's kind of a good answer to what you just asked me about a positive mindset, right?
Yes.
Is that it really is a mindset of self-care, right? And not selfish, which is interesting because often people feel, and this is a little flip on your question, but Lee brings up a good point, is that you have to see showing up as self-care and that it's not selfish. I have quite a few moms that come to the studio and quite a few moms that are neighbors that would tell me they would come to the studio, but they don't have time because they think it's selfish for them. Their attitude is that is selfish for them to take the time out away from their families or any care or caregiving to get themselves in shape. And I say you can't give from an empty cup, right? You have to take the self-care, and it's not selfish because it's actually the reverse. It's selfish for you not to take care of yourself because I used to say this to my dad. I said, you have to get out of the apartment because in order for you to take care of mom, you have to be able to take care of yourself. So that's a big part of, I would say, mindset, is that you have to, yes. And I had said that earlier, it all begins with a thought, right? I had said that in the beginning of our focus circle, right? So that goes back to our 3 circles of health, that it begins in that nothing happens without a thought, right? The first thing we have to think it, we have to believe it. It sounds, but to achieve it, right? You have to see yourself. I am in a coaching group, and the one thing that we do is something called scripting. And scripting is writing what it is you want to achieve as if it's already happened. And that is such a powerful practice for all things, whether it's in your health, in your wellness, and achieving anything you want for business. I see myself as an active individual. I am a person with a lot of energy. I function every morning and I have plenty of time to be worry-free, right? So we write the things that we want to be, and there is our mindset. And those things create shifts because whatever we're thinking is what we're actually doing, right? So what we think of ourselves, where we put our minds, is what we actually achieve. Because the brain does not want to disappoint. The body doesn't want to disappoint, right? How many times do people say to me, oh, I don't think I could ever do that. And I go, oh, no. First we say, I can do that. And then so often it's like a blow away. I have a young girl now I'm training. She's 16. She's an athlete. So she came to me with doing deadlifts with 2 15-pound dumbbells. And I ran into her in the street. This is before she was training with me. And I said, those 15 pounds, 30 pounds for deadlifts for you, it's not gonna do anything for you. You need to be deadlifting at least 100 pounds. And she looked at me like, 100 pounds? How is that even possible? Right? And then we got to 85 and she was like, I'm doing 100. As soon as she got to 100 pounds, and Gigi, this is no exaggeration. As soon as she got to 100, every week for the last 6 weeks, she has added 5 pounds and we're at 165. See, because in her mind, she was holding herself back, not understanding that is what she could achieve. But once she saw that she could and released the fear, and it's like, she walks in, she'll say to me, tomorrow we're going to do 170. And she walks in with that mindset. So mindset is so important in terms of achieving what it is that you want, writing it down, scripting it out, and then looking at it every day, putting it up on a mirror, putting it up on your refrigerator so you can remember your own greatness and you can stand in that greatness. And I like what Brenda wrote. You must first put your mask on first on the plane. Right? You put your mask on first. Brenda is a flight attendant, but it's true. It's the same thing about self-care versus selfish, right? There's some people would say, "Oh, I would put it on my kid first." No, you put your mask on and then you put it on your child so that you are able to be of assistance. So I feel like, we've touched on a lot of different things, but they all kind of come down to where you put your thought, where you put your energy, where you put your attention, right? So what is it that you want to achieve is wherever you place it and believe it. That's the only way you're going to achieve it, right? So if we live in negative self-talk, so we have about 70,000 thoughts a day, and it is research to say that about 60 to 70% of them are negative, because we have all these things that go on in our heads about what we can do and what we can't do. But if you can script and write down the things that you want to achieve and see them as being achievable and read it and believe it, those things do happen. I really believe a lot in manifesting the things that you believe in, but you do have to hold them. And it's kind of like the faith of it, right? That you believe it and you step and do all the right things to happen, and then those things are the things that happen. But you have to start with a belief.
That's right. Now, Lisa, how important is it to maintain a positive attitude in regards to a resilient mindset as well?
Well, I guess that kind of piggybacks on what I said. It goes back to those 60% of negative thoughts that we have. If you don't stay positive about it, there's no way to achieve it. We, in our green cleanse, we tell people you're going to have smoothies for basically 5 days and salads. You're going to be raw vegan. And people are like, they look at me like, I'm not going to eat food. And I always say, let's be clear. You can go 21 days without food, and we are eating green smoothies, meaning fruits and vegetables all day. So it's all in your mind that you think that you can't do it because of the fact you have to be positive, right? So I always think of like all the things we can't be without, right? You have 3 to 5 minutes that you can't be without air and you die, right? You get 5 to 7 days without food. I'm sorry, without water, depending on the climate. But you get 21 days, right? So all of us that live in this culture of abundance of food, not that we don't have a lot of few food insecure people as we've moved into this pandemic, and that's sad to see. But we can, and I'm not saying we need to test it, but we know that people have been on water fast for up to 21 days, we can survive. So if we are without a meal or we eat a little bit less, it's in the mind, right? It's our mind that becomes hungry because it's a habit. And that positive mindset also moves into how we use our minds in fitness, because our minds really fail before our bodies. And I've really learned that as an athlete, right? So people were like, I don't know if I can do another one, but like they're still picking the weight up because in their mind, like, I can't do anymore. Oh, it hurts a little bit, or it's too heavy, right? That's a mindset. So, it is my athletic mindset that got me through that race, through many difficult short nights and tough days. And it's that same mindset of being positive that got me through my heart surgery and me believing that I could be back and running a fitness business within 6 months of, one of the most physically debilitating situations that I've had in my life. So, yes, mindset is key. I believed it, and I had people around me, because I think community in mindset is also important, right? So the last piece of that is, we have to believe it to achieve it. We have to put ourselves, and find people, potentially coaches or facilitators, to help us have it. And then we have to put ourselves in a community of like-minded people who also want similar things out of their lives and things that they want to achieve. And I think that's what comes back to why Studio in the Heights, our business, has had so many success stories, why someone like Brenda would come on the podcast this evening and share her success, because of our community. We have come together as a group, and we support and hold a space for people to achieve their best selves.
Very powerful. Now, Lisa, was there a time in your life journey where you experienced an aha moment?
Ooh, let me give a thought about that. I didn't know that question was coming. Of course I didn't. It's a live interview. An aha moment. Gosh, I have them all the time. You know what? Let me just speak about the green cleanse, because I actually did have an aha moment, and my husband and business partner is probably over there laughing. So because he knows what I'm going to say, he can guess. So we've been running the cleanse, as I said. So it's 7 days, and 5 of those 7 days, you are just having smoothies and salads. You're raw vegan. Now, I was a vegetarian for 15 years, and I was what's called a hypoglycemic vegetarian, someone who I would be feeling fine, and then all of a sudden, I would be starving. And I'd be like, I have to eat now. I want to eat somebody's arm. And it created crisis for me. So it's important for me to share that, because now I go into these times of doing these 7-day raw vegan, and I have a connection between being vegetarian and being like really, really hungry. So we would start, yeah, he's laughing.
Yes, I am laughing.
We would start up these cleanse meetings, and I'm giving the presentation and I'm being all positive and coaching, and inside I would be like, oh my God, we're starting the cleanse. I'm going to be too hungry. What's going to happen? And I'm like, I'm going to do it. But like I would have and my aha moment, and Reggie, I am not exaggerating. It took 5 years of doing this 4 times a year that I suddenly was like, I'm not going to die. I'm going to be okay. And it sounds funny. Like I don't even know if I could. So like I had big anxiety about, we make sure we have enough food in the refrigerator. We have to make sure we have all these things for the cleanse. Be like, oh my God, we don't have enough spinach. Like, what are we going to do? And I had this aha moment, like, I'm not going to die. And that's why I got to that 21 days. I'm going to be okay. And you know what? I'm going to feel a little hungry. And you know what? That's okay too. Because why? Because I can get some food. And if I don't get it for an hour or two, it's not like the world's going to end. And it was a true aha moment that like I had a shift of like, hey, we're starting to cleanse and I'm okay. Sounds like great. And I'll get the groceries, or I'll get what we need, and life is going to be fine. Everything's going to be okay. And I know it sounds funny that was the aha moment, but it's interesting because I believe that even as a health coach, where I'm working with people all the time and their food, but you're always also working on yourself, right? So you can't be a good coach if you don't look in the mirror. So as we go through our coaching programs, they're like, and now you have to do this for yourself. I know Deborah's laughing because she's probably heard that story before, but it's like I can also have, like, I knew that the 7-day green cleanse was good for me, but doesn't mean that in my focus circle, that I didn't have mental agita going into it. And it wasn't until I could get through that and have that aha moment that I could tell you for sure. Even my presentation changed as we work with people. I'd be like, it's all in the mind. I said, I open our meeting with, we have 3 circles of health. And I used to always say the green cleanse is in the fuel circle, where we're going to look at our food, look at our diet, maybe lose a couple pounds. We're going to reboot our systems and let go of sugar, alcohol, caffeine, all the stimulants. But now I say, and And it is the biggest part of this program is in the focus circle. And that was my aha moment. That where I put my head, all those things, where I put my mind, how I see a situation can shift entirely the experience that you have. And so I stopped having the anxiety, and I actually started to, I don't know if anybody really enjoys being in a green cleanse, but I got additional physical benefit that I got before, but like with less mental stress. And yeah, it was a major aha moment for me. The shift of understanding. And I've said this throughout this presentation. It's just that like where your mind is where you go, right? So if you have anxiety about it, you have anxiety about it. If you feel positive about it. So, you know, when I say all the things you need for the cleanse, a blender, a tongue scraper, all this stuff, the last number 7 is always a positive attitude.
I love it.
That's what it takes, right? That you go into this reminding yourself, scripting that you're doing this for your health. You've committed because you're looking to get into a sweet spot, that you recognize that you're not in it and you need to shift what you're doing to find a better balance and better health.
Very powerful. Now, you mentioned overcoming anxiety. How many years did you have anxiety before overcoming it?
Well, overall anxiety, I still have some anxiety. I can't say it has all gone away. But the anxiety I was referring to was the anxiety about doing our green cleanse. Now, obviously, you asked a pointed question. If I had anxiety about the green cleanse, do I have anxiety about other things? Well, absolutely. And I still have some anxiety. And I'm always working on that. So I have practices in breathing, meditation. I have to say that meditation, daily meditation, has been the biggest shift in me finding a more balanced day, right? So if I can meditate at least once a day, that it helps to train the mind to be still, and that I handle things that come at me and the sense of overwhelm in a much calmer way. I also am mindful that, you know, like I like the taste of coffee, but regular coffee, not good for people who have anxiety, right? I go for decaf, or I do matcha lattes, which I really enjoy, green tea. Green tea has a boost with a little bit of caffeine, but it has theanine, which is a amino acid that helps us be more up, but not like anxious or overstimulated. So it's really, I realize that I can't take in a lot of sugar, right? So, or I feel too overstimulated, and that just increases a feeling of anxiety. So again, I probably had that throughout my life, but as I have started to improve on a daily basis of making good choices, I'm able to find and feel how it is when I am not in that sweet spot. You know, when I've sort of eaten or done or not had enough sleep, another way, right? Because if you don't get enough sleep, it's one I forgot to talk about in that focus circle. If you don't get enough sleep and you feel tired, then nothing diminishes anxiety faster than action.
Right.
Yeah, that's true. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. So you definitely, you have to act on whatever it is that's creating the anxiety, right? So you have to step into it. This is what my beautiful business partner and wonderful husband has taught me, is that when I have those fears or the anxieties, you have to like step inside of it. And that's the only way you can conquer it. So that's a little bit on the fear side. And hey, we all have those fears. And as I've aged, I was talking to somebody about this morning. Like, you know, when I was 30, I was like, let's jump out of a plane. Now I'm 59. I'm like, I don't know. It's okay that I haven't jumped out of a plane yet. You know, it's all right if I don't get that done in life. It doesn't have to be on my bucket list anymore. So yeah, some fear is probably good. I used to be a little more fearless. And probably people were like, but I do agree that you do have to step inside of fear, or you have to face your anxiety. And then you have to have practices that help you to keep it at bay, or to monitor, help it. Even things like at night, I drink chamomile tea, I drink lavender tea, things that really help to calm the body after being overstimulated. We've been working on lowering our screen time, because screen time also can bring up cortisol levels and get you worked up and make it difficult for you to sort of wind down. So there's so many different ways that in working with us as a coach, coaches can really make a difference. Oh, look at Brenda. That's so sweet. A community helps people get into action. Yes, it does. Knowing there is help and there's a step. Yes, welcoming community helps those with anxiety feel welcome. Yeah, and that's a whole nother level of anxiety, right? Many people have anxiety about starting exercise programs or coming into an exercise studio. And exercise can also help reduce stress and anxiety by releasing endorphins and having one feel good. So yes, also exercise. So there's so many possibilities of ways to handle anxiety. And really, again, all of those things, those three circles, bring you back into your sweet spot. Again, which circle do you need to plug into the most? Is it the fitness circle and your movement? Also the movement of your body, your breath? Is it your fuel? Is it like how much food or what you're eating, or like the amount of water you drink? Or is it your mind? And at the bottom, it's all in the mind, right? So, but if we can recognize it, script it, know that we can achieve it, we believe it, we can achieve it. Exchanging my plane jumping dream for zip lining. Teresa, I'm right there with you. I zip line, the best zip line, the longest in Hawaii, and it is a blast. Zip lining is a blast. Can't wait to do it again.
Tell us more about your experience zip lining.
Oh my God. So we were in Kauai, Hawaii, and we were in a section. It's a very a part of the rainforest, and we went, and they had the longest zip line. I was with my husband and my sister. My sister said, "I have a fear of heights. There's no way I'm getting on the zip line." And she's like, "But if you guys are gonna go, I'm going in." And oh my God, you get on the harness and you just like, you fly over the most, it's like flying. There's such a sense of freedom and lightness. You know, you just like rolling over the trees, looking out in Hawaii is just, I've been to Hawaii like 6 times. I love Hawaii. Anyway, you're over the tree. It's just beautiful. And my sister, the first time, she's like, you know, holding on for dear life. By like, we have 4 passes, long passes. By the second one, she's a photographer. She was like holding her camera up, trying to get selfies of, her, so it's not as scary as you think, but you do have to, it goes into that sense of like, you step into it. And then if you step into what you're fearful of, you can often experience something just phenomenal if you allow yourself to experience it. And ziplining is one of those. Without fear, there is no courage.
That's right. Say that again. Right. Say it again.
Without fear, there is no courage.
Amen.
Amen.
Very powerful.
Very powerful. My first was Pocahontas. Oh, and you've done it 3 times since. All right, Teresa. So there you go. So you took on the zip lining. We don't have to jump out of planes anymore. I used to want to rappel too down sides of mountains. I don't know. I'm not sure about rappelling. I used to climb up, but I don't know about going down now. I watch those like extreme shows. You're like, ooh, would I rappel down that mountain? I don't know. I guess if my life depended on it, I could do it. But whether I would just go out and be like, can't wait to do it. Maybe. It's still possible.
I love it.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yes. And we must not live in fear. Very powerful.
Very powerful.
Yes, ma'am. Now, Lisa, tell us more about what gives you happiness in your life.
Well, first of all, I am happy and I would say blessed to have a wonderful husband who brings me joy. I know sometimes, anytime you have a husband, you're like, they drive you crazy, but he's always very positive and very supportive. And so that's one. Two, my health makes me happy. I feel very blessed to be healthy through this time, during our sheltering and during our pandemic, that I have been healthy. I am happy. And what brings me happiness is, I think overall I'm a pretty happy person. So I would have to say life, but I have happiness most of the time when I'm not going through too much traffic on my bike. I'm a cyclist and we cycle. Now, I do have some anxiety in a lot of traffic, but otherwise, and I also feel a real sense of elation doing yoga. As crazy as that might sound, just that release of being in my body, sort of being connected, is quite joyful.
Have you tried yoga?
I have not tried happiness. Well, no, happiness yoga.
Or laughter yoga, they call it.
The laughter, you know what? So in our training for our holistic training, we were given an assignment. It's kind of like happiness yoga. We had to wake up for 5 days and laugh straight up for 10 minutes. Like, now I have to say that it is quite a powerful practice, that to make yourself just like, like you just, like you just have to like, you just like make yourself laugh. And it's kind of interesting, like if you're doing it and there's any people in the room, after a while you feel so silly laughing that you actually, it's contagious and you actually start laughing and you feel better. There's a real sense of release and endorphins that happens. So yes, I haven't practiced it on a regular basis, but thank you for reminding me of that. But yes, I have tried it and practiced for multiple days doing laughter. As you can see, I can break out at any minute. You just ask me when, let's laugh together. You want to laugh?
I love it. Yes, ma'am. So now Brenda here, she says the war down way more fun.
The war down. I'm not sure what the war down is.
Can you elaborate for us, Brenda, in the comment section?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And then Lee says,
have you done it, Lee? Have you done yoga with goats? I have seen that. I have to tell you, we had some friends that had claimed they were going to open up a yoga with goats studio. I guess it's them nibbling on you and stuff. I don't know if that's my thing. Oh, Brenda said, whoops, there must be a misspell. I don't know what the war down is.
She says, oops, way.
Oh, the way down. Oh, the way down on a zip line is so much fun. We're going back to our zip line.
Tell us about that. What is that? The way down.
So on a zip line, you're on the way down.
Got it.
Yeah. Much more fun on the way down. Exactly. Oh, yes. So Lee hasn't done way down rappelling. Oh, thank you for clearing that up. Because that came up and I wasn't sure what we were talking about. So you've done it, Brenda. So if Brenda's done it, then now I got to go do it.
Yes. Now, Mr. Priestley says there can be no happiness if the things we believe in are different from the things we do. I'll say that again. There can be no happiness if the things we believe in are different from the things we do. Very powerful, Priest. Thank you for sharing.
Wow. Thank you.
Thank you.
Brenda's like, yes, I'm going to say yes. Wow, that's a big one. Thank you. Yeah.
Yes. Now, Lisa, what is your best advice to the audience for walking with purpose and living a life of happiness?
My best advice for walking with purpose and living a life of happiness. I think it's important that you look at your vision. Like, what is it that you want to achieve? And then stand inside of that vision and set your mind to get to it. To put your attention on what it is that you want to achieve. And then, of course, as a fitness professional and a holistic fitness professional, I'm going to say that you need to live in that sweet spot. You need to integrate all those areas of your life, your fitness, your fuel, and your mind. Your physical, emotional, and spiritual body need to line up, set a vision for what you want to achieve, and know that on a daily basis, you can live to your best, you can look your best, and you will feel your best.
That's right. Very powerful. Lisa, thank you so much for being a guest on Walk With Me podcast today. I appreciate you. You're welcome.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Now, where can the audience find you, Lisa?
Well, you can find us at studiointheheights.com. Absolutely. And you can follow us on Facebook at Studio in the Heights or on Instagram. And if you're interested in, doing more with your health and your nutrition and manifesting the life you've always wanted with health and vitality, give us a call.
I love it. Ladies and gentlemen, make sure to check out Lisa at studiointheheights.com. And Lisa, again, I truly appreciate you for being a guest on Walk With Me podcast. You have a blessed day.
Thank you. You
and
too.
Audience for tuning in. Have a blessed day, everyone.
Thank you all. Thank you.
Oh, wait. Lisa, your husband says happiness lies in achievement and creative effort. Very key.
Woo! Happiness lies. Yes.
Very
achievement
powerful.
And yes, very powerful.
Huge takeaway, folks.
Huge takeaway. Thank you very much. And this is why we're in business together and why he brings me so much happiness.
Amen. Yes.
Amen. Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you, Deborah. Bye-bye.